I was in a bar, and there were a couple friends of mine, and they came into the bar one night, and they had apparently.
Well, Bruce Willis dropped in the other day.
And now Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Oh no! You are so cool. You are really cool. Apparently, been kicked out of the apartment they were in, and I needed some extra dough.
Hey everyone, I have some really sad news to share today about an actor so many of us have grown up watching and loving. It's about Bruce Willis, and I have to warn you, this is truly heartbreaking. We all remember him as the tough, funny hero, but his real-life story has taken a devastating turn. So let's take a moment to remember the man behind the legend and understand the difficult battle he's facing now. Bruce Willis has moved into a care home. This happened on August 15th, 2025. His family made this incredibly difficult decision to keep him safe, and the cost is staggering. They are spending over $200,000 a year just to make sure he gets the round-the-clock care he needs. The man who once yelled famous lines over explosions in Die Hard can no longer speak. His voice, that iconic smart-alecky voice, has been silenced. But that is not even the worst part of this story. His wife, Emma, recently shared something she had kept hidden for a long time. For years, she thought Bruce was just being distant, that maybe he was pulling away. She had no idea that his brain was slowly, quietly dying. The disease had been secretly stealing him away long before anyone even knew what was happening. What his family discovered through this painful journey will truly break your heart. To understand how we got here, we have to go back to the very beginning, to where Bruce Willis came from. Bruce was born on March 19, 1955, in a small, quiet town in West Germany called Idar-Oberstein. His father was an American soldier stationed there after the war, and his mother was a German woman. From his very first breath, Bruce's world was split right down the middle between two different cultures. He lived on a military base, a place surrounded by the ghosts of a recent war. He was caught between his father's American military discipline and his mother's German traditions. But when he was just 2 years old, his entire world flipped upside down. In 1957, his father left the army, and the whole family packed up and moved across the vast ocean to start a new life in New Jersey, in the United States. Suddenly, Bruce was no longer the little boy from Germany. He was just another kid in a rough American neighborhood, a place filled with factory workers and families who were all struggling to get by. His father worked with metal, and his mother took small jobs at banks to help out. They did not have much money, and Bruce often felt like he did not fit in anywhere. As the 1960s rolled in, something started to trouble him deeply. Around the age of 6, Bruce developed a painful stutter. Words would get stuck in his throat. He would try to speak, to get a sentence out, and nothing would come out right. Other kids laughed at him and gave him a cruel nickname, Buck Buck. He tried to fight back with his fists, swinging wildly just to defend himself and his pride. But the deep shame of not being able to speak clearly haunted him every single day. Sometimes it would take him several minutes just to get one simple sentence out. It crushed his confidence completely. By the time he was 10 years old, school had already become a daily battlefield. The stutter did not just physically hurt, it isolated him from everyone else. He felt completely alone. High school could have been the breaking point for him. He started skipping classes just to avoid being called on by the teacher. He would pull silly pranks to distract people from his speech problem. But then one day in the early 1970s, when he was around 15, he took a huge chance and joined the school drama club. And something unbelievable happened. The moment he stepped on that stage and started to read lines from a script, his stutter disappeared. It was like magic. He could speak fluently and clearly, without any fear. For the very first time in his life, people were listening to him. Really listening. His teachers were stunned. Bruce realized that when he became someone else, when he was playing a character, the words came freely. Acting gave him back his voice. That single discovery changed the entire course of his life. By 1973, he had gained so much confidence that he was elected student council president. Even though some kids still mocked him, he did not care as much anymore. He had found something that made him feel truly alive. Then in 1975, while studying theater at Montclair State University, two kind professors gave him special speech therapy that helped him even more. But by 1977, Bruce was tired of school. He decided to drop out and move straight to the big city, New York, determined to chase something bigger than himself. With no money and no contacts, he worked long, exhausting hours as a bartender just to survive. Sometimes he had to crash on friends' couches or sleep in tiny, rundown apartments. But he made people laugh at the bar. He skated to work. He even played the harmonica for tips. He turned that bar into his own personal stage. Those years were messy and hard. He faced over 100 rejections in his first year alone. But little by little, he started landing small roles in off-Broadway shows. His first real part came in 1977 in a play called Heaven and Earth. Even though the money was low and the rejection was constant, he kept going. Sometimes things got so bad, he had to sleep on park benches. But people started to notice his raw talent. He got small roles in commercials, bit parts in movies, and eventually in 1980, he even had a brief scene with the legendary Frank Sinatra. One night while he was bartending, he got into a fight trying to protect someone. His nose was broken very badly. He needed emergency surgery. The doctors warned him that the injury might hurt his voice permanently. But he recovered. He came back tougher than before. The scar stayed on his face, and it gave him a certain edge, a look that would later become famous. Back then, nobody knew he would become one of the biggest action stars in the entire world. But in those small, struggling bars of New York, he built something stronger than fame. He built friendships that would last for decades. He met the actor John Goodman behind the counter at a bar called Chelsea Central. And together, they performed wild, improvised plays that left the small crowds stunned. Were broke, earning just a few dollars a week, but their passion was real. They worked without scripts. They shouted and cried and threw themselves into every single moment. These raw, energetic performances sharpened Bruce's timing and gave him the explosive energy that would one day electrify movie screens all over the world. Then, in 1985, everything changed forever. Bruce walked into an audition for a new TV show called Moonlighting. About 3,000 actors wanted the same role, including famous radio stars and highly trained performers. The network, ABC, rejected Bruce 11 whole times. But he came back one last time with a shaved head, earrings, and an attitude that simply could not be ignored. He ad-libbed his lines and made the producers laugh out loud. Suddenly, the outsider with the childhood stutter was the one they wanted. Moonlighting aired on March 3, 1985, and Bruce Willis became a star overnight. The show was chaotic and expensive to make. It took twice as long to film as most other shows. Episodes sometimes ran 120 pages long, but Bruce's charm, his speed, and his unpredictability made it a total sensation. He clashed often with his co-star, Sybil Shepherd. By 1986, tensions on the set were boiling over. They argued, they snapped at each other right before scenes, and sometimes they even refused to speak to each other off camera. The pressure got so bad that Bruce collapsed from pure exhaustion in 1988 and had to be rushed to the hospital. Scripts were constantly delayed. The ratings started to dip, but the fiery chemistry between them kept fans hooked. Behind the scenes, Bruce was burning out, but in front of the camera, he was absolutely magnetic. While all this was happening, Bruce shocked everyone by releasing a music album called The Return of Bruno in January 1987. Nobody expected a TV star to top the music charts, but he did. The album went gold, selling over 500,000 copies. It even hit number 2 in the UK. Critics rolled their eyes, but the fans did not care at all. Bruce sang with soul legends and turned the whole project into something unforgettable. It was strange, bold, and fun, just like him. But the daily grind was taking its toll. Filming moonlighting episodes that cost over $1 million each, Bruce was pushed right to the edge. His co-star's pregnancy in 1987 caused more delays, and a major writer's strike in 1988 nearly shut the show down for good. On May 14, 1989, the show finally came to an end. Bruce had given it absolutely everything he had. By that time, his name was already echoing loudly through Hollywood. His TV salary had skyrocketed to $50,000 per episode, a giant leap from the $1,500 gigs he had started with. At that time, Bruce Willis was not supposed to be a huge movie star. He was mostly known as the charming guy from Moonlighting, and no one expected